What's going on, guys? Brandon, legendarylifemedia.com. I'm going to talk to you today about how to pick your circle of influence and where to find the right people and how to use that to level up your life, your business. And the truth is, the real reality is, you have everything within you that you need to live an amazing life. But when it comes to being around the right people who challenge you, if you're around the right people, the impact is that they can challenge you to think differently. They can challenge the way that you're thinking. They can help you to improve in different areas of your life. And they can truly help you to level up and live a more impactful, fulfilling life. And so your circle is incredibly important. The people that you surround yourself with. You'll hear people a lot in the realms of success and entrepreneurship talk about you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is extremely true. And the reason it's true is because by osmosis, the ideas that other people share that you agree with, you tend to multiply. Ideas multiply, right? So a bad idea is like a disease. So when you're around somebody who's like negative or has bad thinking or thinks about things in a destructive or chaotic way, that's contagious. It's like a disease. It can actually impact the other people around them negatively. But when you're around positive people, they actually tend to build you up, right? So most of the time, the people that I would choose to surround myself with are people who are like-minded, they're positive, they are goal-oriented, they take action, they don't complain a lot, they're educated, they have a lot of time invested in developing themselves as a human being, as a coach, or just somebody who's good with relationships, somebody who's very spiritual. Investing in your circle is just as important as investing in yourself, especially if you, like me, I've spent a lot of time investing in myself, going to seminars, self-educating, but you tend to hit your own ceiling, right? Because you're you. Other people have other things that they bring to the table, other levels of creativity, other ways of thinking, other energy levels, other ways of executing on things, other ways of making things happen. And so when you get around the right people, this is what Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich as the mastermind, which is 2 or more people coming together, talking about, thinking about, and actually building upon a mutual goal. And this is really key because if you want to achieve something in life, and for most people, it's more money, better relationships, improving your business, having a business, running a business, or growing a business, or something else that's important to you. You have to have the right people. There's nothing more important than having the right team. So the real question is, how do you find the right people? And the first thing I'll say to that is, number one, you have to become the right person. In order to attract the right people, you have to be the right person. But the reality is there's certain traits and characteristics that makes that perfect, or that makes that ideal in comparison to, say, something else that's not, right? Or if you want to be the best business partner, you build yourself up to be somebody who is communicative, honest, takes action, not lazy, brings a lot to the table, right? So when you come across somebody who brings that like energy, typically what tends to happen in life is you'll start to attract people who bring like energy, right? So say there's an area in life that you're super on top of it, you are completely in integrity with how you do your business, how you talk to people, how you communicate. You'll tend to attract other people based on how you resonate who have those qualities. And sometimes over the time, if you sow good seeds, I believe in karma. If you sow good seeds and say you invest in certain relationships or certain places for a while, what ends up happening is that the universe kind of starts to bring that back to you in other ways. It may not be with that person, but usually it'll come back in another way where the right person shows up, and it's kind of like the universe coming back to pay this karmic debt that you've sowed a seed at a certain point in time that you want to be this type of person, and so you've stepped out and taken the action and become that person for somebody else. Say, for instance, there's a company that I worked for, and I was that person. Like, I stepped up, I did more than was asked for, and I was probably a godsend, right? And then as I was building my business, other people have come in who kind of fulfilled those qualities. So that's the first thing I would say, which is to drive that home, be the person that you want to be, right? So have those qualities that you expect out of other people, because there's no way that you're going to get it from other people if you don't have it yourself. And that is being communicative, honest, or whatever it is that you value, right? So that's really key. The other thing is, look at who's doing what you want to be doing. Look at who's successful in certain areas and find role models, right? Say you have a business or you want to make more money, right? Or you want a more fulfilling relationship, right? Find people who have what you want and learn from them. This is really key. Then the question is, how do you actually build a relationship? In most cases, you need to bring something of value to the table. So one of my mentors would always asked me this very simple question. The question that he asked is, what do you bring into the party? So think about it. If you walk into a room, or if you're trying to start a new relationship with somebody, or you're trying to build a business, what are you bringing to the party? Because at the end of the day, what you bring to the party is going to determine what other people show up and bring to the party. A lot of people are scared sometimes to actually show up and give, especially with new relationships, with new people. And I've spent years and years networking, and it's very fascinating because there's different approaches that people have to being in that environment, talking to people, networking. You know, especially people get very excited about things, and other people are very like reserved, and it takes a while to open up. But once you start meeting new people with new ideas, you realize that, you know, you start to meet a lot of people, especially successful people, and you start to realize that, okay, maybe people in general aren't so bad, right? It's kind of hard to live on Earth without having some level of trauma, right? Like, we've all been born into this planet, and we all have trauma in different areas, different ways. And I think for a lot of people, that affects how they interact socially, that affects how they decide where they want to go in life, what they want to do, and it certainly affects relationships. It's really interesting to start to develop self-awareness, right? So you start to develop self-awareness of how you show up, and a good way to test that is going out into social situations like networking, for example, and then you'll start to see where you show up, where do you hide, what value do you truly bring, where are you fake, where are you authentic, and start to really just evaluate that and bring that home to a place where, you know, you can start to be more authentic, more true to yourself. And from that place, you can start giving to people from a place of more authentic value. And, you know, you'll start attracting the right relationships. And at the same time, the people who are not right for you, they won't gravitate towards you. They won't resonate with you. And so that's number two. The last thing I would say is go to events and seminars and network with people who are in your industry and get around people who are doing things that you want to do, and learn how to have social value, learn how to invest social value into your relationships, which is how can you help your friends be successful. Part of the reason that things are working so well for us with Legendary Life, for example, is that I have a really good network, and I love to give to my friends. I love to give to people. And so offering that opportunity, offering that ability to help build them up and help them in their life in whatever area it is that they care about, that's extremely valuable. And it's also hard to find. So be a person of good moral character, be a person of good value, and invest in your friends the same way that you would invest in yourself. And then invest in your relationships in a way where you're truly authentically giving and coming from a place of what's in it for them, right? Because most people in this world, and what we're taught is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me, right? And when you're walking around, especially in a networking event, you can see when somebody has the little what's in it for me antenna up. And that's not attractive in any sense of the word, whether it's business, relationships, or otherwise, right? So the reality is you have to come from a place where you are giving, you're providing value, and you're also genuinely interested in the other person and other people. And then you'll start to attract people who have more integrity, who are more authentic, and who lead with value. So 90% of our life involves work and relationships. So if you can learn how to invest in people and invest in your abilities, your social skills, the sky's the limit as far as what you can accomplish. And you're not going to get to the highest level success alone. You have to have a good team. You have to have the right people around you. And you have to be good and fair in business, right? Because, you know, word gets around. And the reality is nothing is more important than having valuable relationships and people who have your back when you're not there. That's what it is for today. Developing high value relationships. Hope you guys have a great night.